Hey, Happy New Year. So blessed to be with you this morning on this 2022 first devotional of the year. Woo! Can you believe it? The year has begun and the old is gone, the new is in. It is crazy how fast time is going by. Now, you may be like some and are hoping that 2022 looks nothing like 2021. And if we are going to be honest today, this morning, there are things that we need to do as a church to make sure that we are not a part of the statistics from 2021. Now, I want you to know what I mean by that. In 2021, it was estimated, and the totals aren't fully in yet, but over 3,000 churches shut their door in America. Throughout all 50 states, over 3,000 churches shut their doors permanently, not temporarily, not just because of COVID for a little time being, but permanently. They are no longer meeting in community as a church anymore. But see, I wonder if that's because their community was tied to a building and not tied to the body. See, that's the difference in community. When our church is predicated to a come and listen type modality, when it is all about the worship and the preaching and the teaching, and does not include the main desire that God has for you and I to be in community, well, then when the building gets shut down or COVID happens and a pandemic happens, or in the early church persecution happens, well, then you don't have church. But when it's tied to community, pandemics can happen, early church persecution can happen. You can be in Japan and be in a communist state or nation, and the gospel will still be alive. Why? Because the power of God is not dependent on walls. And it's not dependent on me and you, but it lives through me and you when we decide to put ourselves into a space where we can share life, do life, and love life with other people. For 2022, you're going to hear us talk a lot about community, because we learned something through this pandemic. We know more now about ourselves, about our church, about our leadership, about the amount of people who are committed to this gospel than we ever have. You see, it's fun and exciting when your church pews are flooding with people and there's standing room only. But I think what melts God's heart is when people are living out their faith in community, a daily walk with Him, an interdependence with others, with a desire and passion to serve each other's needs. You see, Acts chapter 2 really does pave the way for what early church and what our church today should look like. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching. They were amazed at all the things that were happening around them. They gave up their material possessions to care for the needs of other folks. They shared food together and met each day in the temple courts. They never were too busy for the body of Christ. And so my heart, my desire for you today is that when you think through what your daily life looks like, is it too busy for the body of Christ? Is it too busy to be in community? Is it too busy to stop and to pause, to set aside a couple hours each week to grow in your walk with other people? In this new year of 2022, if we want our walk and our church to begin to grow, we're not going to focus on getting people in church pews. We're going to focus on getting people into small groups. And guess what? It was that type of life that added numbers to the church pews. If we read Acts chapter 2, it is the way that they did life together, the way that they loved life together, the way that they shared life together, that numbers were added to the church daily. You see, it wasn't that numbers were added to the church 52 days, in other words, on Sunday. It was added to the church daily. because it was a 7-day-a-week operation. Now, you may not know this or not, but Yosemite Church is a 7-day-a-week operation. We have small groups happening every single day. And we're proud to say that some of those groups happen here on our campus, but most of them are in people's homes, which even models what Acts chapter 2 says we should do. I personally know of several people who are members of the larger part of our church because they came to know the love of the Father through a small community of people affiliated with our church. Is that story true for you? Did you come to know the love of the Father through somebody else? Was somebody willing to come alongside you and say you matter? Introduce you to their friends? Or maybe invite you to their church? This year, let's be different. Let's make community our priority. Let's share our life with other people. Let's do life with other people. And let's love life with other people. God bless.